let's walk through what it takes to be a champion. You said there's some preparatory things like meditations and affirmations, which, if I'm reading between the lines, you're like, that's a little bit too soft for your liking. There's a little bit more of a strategic and systematic approach that you like to dive into when you're creating a really big goal.
Yeah, there's really actually a biology to it. And again, just deep appreciation for the gratitude journals and the affirmations and positive thinking. But to just say that those are sort of passive things that are done in the privacy of your own experience.
Hmm.
But when you engage life as it really is, like in combat, in daily life, there has to be the ability to recognize and respond to whatever that is that's in real present time, to transcend it, to be able to
Yeah.
achieve that which you do that honors your talents.
Hmm.
I think the fundamental thing to be mindful of here, the way that I see it, is that, our human nature really does have two mindsets that are working opposite of each other. We have the human mindset on one side of it, which is our human nature, that's incredibly predictable. But our human nature is something we can't shut off because it's biologically encoded to our DNA. And when we look at that, there are several different beliefs that fall in line with that. And those being fear-based responses to life, they cannot take us to excellence because they're not based on excellence, they're based on survival. And survival demands immediate response to things to get out of harm's way, many times faster than we can think. But that's not how we create our greatness or create excellence. For example, have you ever said anything that seemed really right at the time, and then you said it faster than you could think, and when it came out, it didn't work so well?
Never. I don't know what you're
Yeah,
talking
never, of course. Well, you're the exception, of course, to the other 7 billion people on this planet. But I think we all know, like, well, where did that come from?
about.
I mean, that was clearly a defensive response that was survival based because it just destroyed a relationship and it didn't
Right,
have to, but
right.
man, did it seem right at the time.
Mhm.
So clearly there's something there that recognizes faster than we could think the ability to respond. For example, let's say you step on some ice and you slip, well, your hand knows where to put it to break the fall,
Right,
but
right.
you couldn't think fast enough to put your hand there. So again,
Mhm.
clearly something is listening faster than we could think. And so those are our survival impulses. And survival is about survival. It's not about excellence. Survival doesn't care about your gold medal, doesn't care about your greatness. It only cares about survival. But it does get first dibs at every moment of our life. It's the first filter. The problem is that it can only repeat history. It can't make it. So we're trapped in it. But the good news is that in opposition to our human mindset, we have our champions mindset, which is calibrated towards excellence. There is something within us that wants to create a life of contribution and value and
Mhm.
does want to give back. I was talking with a client today, and when we were doing our initial intake, he said, I know that I'm capable of more. I want more. I'm underperforming. How do I get there and fulfill my potential? So he clearly knows and wants his highest demonstration of self. He just doesn't know how to get there.
Yeah.
So we have these two opposing forces that are control that are battling with each other 24 hours a day for control over our thinking. Human nature wants survival. Champion's nature doesn't get first dibs, but it does have final say, and it's the only way that we can create history. So let's look at a practical example. So let's say you're given an opportunity. Your fear-based survival human nature is going to say, what do I stand to lose here? I don't know
Mhm.
if I want to do this. I'm defensive. I don't want to hug.
I could
I'm going to
fail.
hoard. I'm
Yeah.
not going to share. It
Mm,
isn't going to happen.
mm.
Well, champions don't think like that. That's human nature. That's our default. Can't turn it off. Our champion's nature is, no, what do I stand to gain here? There's plenty enough opportunity for success for everybody. Should I engage this, and what do I stand to gain? What will the benefits be? Optimistic, sharing, wants to hug, expansion in the lungs. So you can see the contrast.
Yeah.
So let's say you're given an accountability. What's the first thing the human nature is going to say? Well, I'm doing my best. So they've already decided what the limits is. without even trying it. Where a champion would never say that. Given an opportunity, given an accountability, they would say, well, actually, I'll find a way. Why do you
Mhm.
think I'm given creativity, ingenuity, and insight and curiosity? Gets to find a way. So again, you can see the contrast here, and we could go through a couple of others. I think, like for example, I helped a guy win a gold medal because he was in conflict and melting down 2.5 weeks before the Olympic final, and his federation called me in to help him. And I talked with them, and I said, here's the problem: is that you and your team think you've got to be perfect to win a gold medal. Doesn't that sound right? If you're perfect, you're going to win a gold medal. That's what human nature thinks, but that's not what history tells us. So what I told him is that the problem with thinking that you need to be perfect is that you're making a contingency for every detail, but your brain is always going to make up another detail that you think that you need to find to be able to be perfect that you're not going to find. Therefore, you've already lost. And that's your survival instinct, your fear telling you this. It's not real. I said, what the champions do is that they focus on the two things that have to go right. So for you to win the gold medal, two things: don't change your warm up, do your first 4 steps to get your foot on the board where it needs to be to get the lift and win. That's how you win the gold medal. You're not trying to be perfect. You're doing the two things that have to go right to win. 2 weeks later, presto, instant gold medal. So there's this tug of war that we all experience, the anxiety of life. Should we or shouldn't we? That's how we're experiencing the struggle between our human and our champion's nature. And unless we overcome our human nature to become, I guess, superhuman in a certain sense by taking certain actions that have been demonstrated by prolific achievers to take us to the promised land, we can never live a life of passion, purpose, productivity, or prosperity. It's not possible. And so to me, that's one of the first places to start in gaining access to our potential to clear the way beyond the mythology that keeps us stuck, that can't deliver us into a life of excellence.